Before we get started, please take the time to like, add, and subscribe to our pages on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and iTunes. Also, please leave us a review.
That's the rule in the ice hut. Everything melts to the hole. So just be like, if you want something protected, put it in a zipper pocket or don't bring it on the ice because it's going to the hole.
It's tribute to the lake.
We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Clackada.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing? Welcome back to another wonderful Wednesday with the Wandering Ways crew. It's the man, the myth, the guy who talks first most of the time, Reverend Mark, myself, and with me, as per usual, he is somewhere in the US doing something. I heard it's cold. But yeah, he's just doing his thing. He does other things and he loves things. And the more things that he has, he's just a big thing kind of guy. It's Ranger Zach. How we doing?
Great. I am fantastic. It is negative 10 degrees here in Billings, Montana on this fine February evening. We are recording a wonderful podcast with our good pal, Matt Buddy, the buddy, everybody's buddy. Hippity hey, hippity doo dah. Yeah, it was great, man. We talked with Matt about taking him out on the ice fishing, talk a little Bigfoot. You get into it all. It's a great day. It's a great day to be alive. How have you been?
I've been good. I got actually an interesting story to tell today before, because it's not really pertinent to later conversation, but I think it's interesting. And well, I don't know if it's interesting, but anyways, I'm on a bike ride this last weekend. And I'll admit, I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I got a new watch and it's got navigation. So I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm not going to get lost. So let's try and test this navigation out. And I'm way probably like no cell service kind of area, dirt road type deal. Tons of houses around. Well, not tons, but enough, a decent amount. And going uphill, and all of a sudden, I see this car kind of start going up towards its driveway, and it stops. Not next to a mailbox, just stops kind of where it's at. I go on by, right? And this car turns right around, and it follows me for like the good next, I felt like 10 minutes. It was kind of like following me. But again, this was uphill. I was tired and I'm like, this is fucking weird. So it could have been less time than that, but it just felt longer. And could have passed me. I'm not going that fast because again, uphill and I'm on the side. Could have gone around. But no, it followed me for a good little bit.
Why?
Oh no, never said anything. I was telling someone I work with about it, and he's like, he goes, well, do you carry a knife? And I go, no, I don't carry a knife. He's like, well, I'd carry a knife. They were definitely waiting for you to be super exhausted and hop off your bike and then fuck you up. I
Maybe.
think he's exaggerating with that one, but
I don't know the crime rates in Ashland, certain apparently Kias are really easy to break into, so people break into Kias places. So I don't know, Ashland has like a bike theft ring going kind of
yeah, but
thing.
this is I'm out in the middle of nowhere, kind of
I
deal. Like I'm not in town. I'm on a
Perfect.
dirt gravel road, like up in the mountains.
Maybe they're lost and going to ask you for directions.
Then why didn't they? They could have.
2023, people are scared of that shit.
I mean, I don't know. It was just, I don't know why. To be honest, maybe it was malice, maybe it wasn't malice. It was just a weird kind of experience.
Did you take them?
No, I was just I didn't want to get my phone out or anything. I was kind of just trying to get to the top because I almost reached like the top of the last climb I was on, and then it was like downhill for like the next 10 miles back to my apartment type deal.
Oh, I feel you.
So I was no, it was just a weird experience. If I'm being, it was a pretty bike ride. I don't know if I'll do it again because of that experience.
I feel you. No, that's fair. Get
Yeah.
the get the heebie-jeebies. You got the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. And I've been in some places where, like, I've been on back roads in Humboldt where, you come across a grow, they'll kill you. And I didn't feel as weirded out as I did on that ride.
Right. Ah, you live and you learn, I guess, right? And that's one of those.
Yeah. But it was a cold ride. And speaking of cold, you and good old Matt Buddy, we're just gonna kind of hop in, move on over to the conversation with Matt Buddy. We got Matt Buddy back on, everybody's favorite buddy. So make sure you pay attention. Hit him up on the good old Instagram, Lakota Thunder 52, 32. I always forget.
82.
82. 82. I wasn't even close. Hit him up on the Instagram, Lakota Thunder 82. Say hi, Matt Buddy. How you doing? He'll say good, doing good. But you guys went ice fishing and we talk all about it. Anything to go before we jump in?
It's good. Don't fall in.
Hey there, Reverend. I heard that you might be running dry on your sticker supplier.
Yeah, I've been looking around and I've kind of like run out of cool stickers to buy and put on water bottles and stuff.
Well, I mean, have you seen the stuff Josh has been coming out with lately?
No, I have not.
Well, he is doing some really cool stuff with the Shop LS 574. Yes, they're working with indigenous communities and making some really cool stickers. He has a really cool Buffalo Mountain sticker. There's even water bottles, hats, sweatshirts, the whole swag. And we even got a discount code for you guys. Yes, if you use Wandering Ways at Shop LS 574, you're going to be getting a discount on your next purchase. But not only that, you're going to be giving a percentage of that sale to the Little Shell Tribe, as well as they donate $1 of every sale to murdered and missing Indigenous women. So just such a cool thing going on there. You use the code Wandering Ways, WANDERING WAYS, and you put that in there, boom, you're getting a discount.
Anyways, we're here. We got the man, the myth, the legend, everybody's buddy. He's reigning from the north of Oregon in a place called Portland, P-Town, PDX. They're known for like carpets. It's Matt Buddy. How you doing, bud?
Doing well, my guy. It's been a minute. We've been in like hibernation mode this winter.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely cold, which is not a bad thing. We need some cold, we need some snow to hopefully not get those wildfires, or at least as bad of wildfires.
Well, yeah, that moisture, man, that's good. That's getting it good. We need that snow to have that melt. Hopefully we don't get the runoff like we did last year with like those really rainstorms with the hot rain that basically melted the snow and gave the flooding to Yellowstone. But we'll see, right? It's crazy. I was on a business call today and it's negative. I just showed you -9 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels like -21 degrees Fahrenheit here in Billings. Haven't left my house all day. And we're the business call on the Zoom. They're in Washington, D.C., 80 degrees today.
Ugh.
Like, tell me climate change isn't real.
That's insane.
Oh no, this is how I know, one, climate change is real, and two, this cold spell that we're in, this is how I know that it's actually legit and like cold and we have issues, is good old Humboldt got like a half inch of snow.
Oh,
Humboldt never snows. It's like a once in a decade thing.
that would be wild though, the redwoods in the snow.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I was fortunate enough when I was there, it snowed, and I'm using hand quotations for the people just listening because it was like a dusting. You didn't even get like maybe a centimeter of accumulation type deal. But like no, this time it's like legit snow.
Well, you should have got in the car and drove down there.
I have this thing called work. I know you don't know what that is, but I have that.
Oh,
Well,
accountability.
Zach and I, Mark, we took a work call that Thursday. We drove out to Montana. We took it from Connell, Washington, of all places, which, if you don't remember, is where that big prison is out there.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, hopefully we get service in time for this call, because we're trying to time it. Like, do we stop in Tri-Cities or do we stop in Connell? Because that's the last town for a while. So we took the work call from the gas station parking lot there.
You just did it in the parking lot there. You didn't like drive.
No, yeah, we sat
Well,
there.
just because the service north of there to Ritzville would have been spotty.
I was gonna say it was gonna make the drive more enjoyable.
Right, it would have, and it would have, but it was one of those ones where it was like we needed the like PowerPoint presentation. So it's like, let's hit one of these towns, let's get lunch somewhere, let's eat. The old lady pulled up next to us, had her lunch in the car. It was great.
There you go. We call Matt, you're a digital nomad.
That's right. No, we had to sometimes you have to go old school, because we had to dial in to the Zoom through like an actual number, which was interesting. So
They would have been real old school if he had to do the whole like
No, we didn't have to do that, but
it was
it
interesting.
was great because that road trip, it was on our way to take Matt, his Matt buddy, the buddy, his first time on ice, to walk on ice ever.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, walking on ice. No, Matt buddy on ice, the show live, and you can see the interview. But
a little sketch. Like, I was like, are we gonna be okay? And Zach's like, I think 16 inches of ice, you're pretty safe.
16.
Yeah,
That's a lot of ice.
right.
yeah, I don't know if you saw the video of Matt digging with the ice auger the day we went ice fishing, but he's down there with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh
no,
yeah, then you're more than chill. If you're I think like honestly like 6 inches, you're okay.
No, so the rules are 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches you can walk on, but it's sketch. 4 inches is like ice fishing, is what they say, where you can like sit on it.
That's the like legal 4 inches.
6 inches is ATV, I think.
Yep.
8 is like a small truck or a small car. And then like 10 to 12 is you could start driving like trucks and shit out on there. And like snowmobiles and what, like we were seeing snowmobiles, like it was nothing. And I was like, God, we got to get Mark up here in the winter and get him on a snowmobile.
We were in snowmobile heaven right there, because there was like a trail there coming back into town to like turn, for their rentals to turn them in. And they're just like, zoom, 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 just hauling ass.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I bet.
I mean,
when you live in a place where it's icy and snowy like that, snowmobile is probably the ideal way to get around.
Yeah, no, it's one of those, like, honestly, the problem is Seeley really hasn't seen as much snow as they typically do. Like, there's a lot of snow there, don't get me wrong, but even the locals are like, this is a bad winter.
Yeah, but for those Montana numbers, it's not what it used to be, is what you're saying.
Right. The numbers, we're not getting the snow, because like Seeley really was, if you look back in like the 70s, 80s, 60s of Montana, 90s even, Seeley was one of those towns, like it's a snowmobile town in the winter. People get on there, like you go to Cook City, same thing. Like there's no other cars. Like that's like where you see the pictures of like cars with tracks. Like Cook City is one of those places. Seeley's one of those places.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean by that. The town up in Alaska where I would hop into the water get on the boat at
Right.
good old Naknek or Naknak, Alaska. Um in the winter, it's like all snowmobile stuff. It's also like you don't even get boats that come into port from like September till like May type deal there. But also fun fact about good old Naknek is they take like a little airplane to school in the summer because between like the two little North Naknek, South Naknek is a river, and in the winter you can drive across it, but in the summer it's a river.
Bigger.
Oh wow.
Yeah, really cool river. Saw a bunch of beluga whales in that same river. But no, that'd be nuts. Like to have that much ice to where you can drive on. I think I'd be sketched the flip out.
Have you ever driven on ice? No.
Like a lake, river ice, or just like ice.
Like a lake, like a frozen ice.
No.
Like
I've
it's not bad.
walked. I've
Like
walked on ice.
yeah, that's not bad. Me, like last year we went ice fishing like with Scott. We took his like side by side, which isn't as heavy as a car, but we took our excursion out on Seeley one year,
Oh,
and low key, like
that's a heavy vehicle.
if it's one of those years where it's really cold, like especially up there where you're like, fuck, it's been in the zeros for like 2-3 weeks straight. I'm down to take the Rougarou and just go snow blazing up on the lake if you guys want.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like one of those things where they tell you like you're totally cool, but you're not sure if you actually want to test it out. You're like, they say it's really cool, but if on the off chance it's actually not, well, I'm really fucked. So
No, I feel you because like that. I mean, it does suck if the car goes in the water. Like how you getting it out, especially like some of
yeah,
those lakes.
yeah, that'd be nuts. You got to get what's it? I see videos all the time for some guy that like he like I guess more snorkel or scuba dives in like these different rivers and just like picks like wild shit up. Like he went in San Antonio and like first thing he finds is like one of those scooters, like those little bird scooters, like someone just like drove off into the river. You know, they find all sorts of shit doing that.
That's fine. No, I do have it in my tackle box. So if you guys are ever with me fishing, I do got like a big magnet. I did buy one of those that you could just throw in the water, attach it to something and see what you can get.
Wow. Well, you can clean up some metal, like garbage that way even.
Yeah.
Like big magnets, they could just drag them like at the bottom or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great idea. You should
100%.
speaking of trouble, speaking of getting in trouble, Matt, you want to tell Mark about what happened to us with the ice hut?
Oh God. Yeah. So kind of getting into our experience there. So the first day we went to that salmon lake and tried the ice fishing there. And we were like, what, one of like maybe there were 6 huts there, Zach, when we got
Yeah,
there.
throughout the course of the day, because it kind of varied. There was like 1 or 2 huts that were there all day, kind of like us. Then there was like you kind of had the morning guys that were leaving when we were there.
Okay. Yeah, and then there was like those, you could tell they were like college kids from University of Montana, and they were there for like maybe 2 hours tops, and the snow was blowing sideways, and they just left. They didn't stay. They had their beer and stuff. No, but so we get out there. So Salmon Lake, first day, it was all brand new, didn't catch anything, but it was like it was just such a new thing, but it's really chill. You got to do the work and drag this sled with all the gear and your auger. And for the listeners, we had a gas powered pull start auger, which makes life easier. But we seen these hand drill ones where you got to crank it. And that looks like a pretty good little workout to drill through the ice there. So
that's the mark. That's the mark. I mean, they're the cheaper option, honestly.
I would honestly go that direction as well. I mean, it's nice you guys had the gas one and stuff, but like,
You know what's crazy too is my dad's had that gas one for like 13 years. And maybe in its lifetime, it's been fired up 10 times. And it's just sat in that garage in Seeley for like the last 10 years unused. And me and Matt fire it up in like 2 fucking poles. Just brr, brr, and it's like, all right, like we're good to go. Like fucking not leaky. We're great. Like, let's get this right. That was nice, and those are nice. But Matt's talking about the hand cranks. But we're also in a world right now where you're seeing a lot of guys switch their ice augers to the electric ones.
yeah.
Even.
Yeah, and so that makes the hole. And is that where you got into trouble, or is there something else with the tent?
No, I'm kind of just giving you guys the story from our ice time here. But if you want me to get into that, we can.
No, you can keep going. I was just curious
okay.
if it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
or wasn't.
I'm gonna get to that. So we're in Zach's tent, and for the listeners, it's like a tent, like similar to a camping tent, but more square, and there's no bottom. So it's got like the one Zach has is like I don't know, $500 tent or whatever it was, but it's very insulated. So you stay plenty warm out there. Like what? It was like maybe 30 degrees that first day, Zach?
Yeah, it was good, like 30s, 40s, but snowing all day except for like about the sunset. And then that second day, it was pretty much just snowing all day, probably down in the 20s more so.
Yeah.
Zach was hyping this tent up to where he was like, I think I'm gonna go my summer camping with this tent.
No, I mean, honestly, like you could do it. I would maybe put a tarp down on the bottom first, just so you're not on like grass and dirt, because it doesn't have the bottom. But like
grass would be fine, dirt for sure.
The material is so thick and like insulating. I was shocked at how warm we stayed in there with your little heater and stuff too. But
well, because I had that heater that second day. The first day the heater fired up right away, but we left it and the propane tanks in the Jeep overnight. So when it got cold, that all got cold. So the propane heater took like an hour to get started. And we're sitting there. But like when you're sitting there with the heater going, it really wasn't that cold.
It almost was too hot even to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like we had to like turn the heater down even. So, but no, for me, like, so you drilled a hole and the hole is 8 inches. And like, I'm thinking the hole's like tiny. Like I'm thinking like, oh, you drill like a 4-inch hole and just enough to put your line with like a hook down there. And so like, it was just like, you could put 2 poles in one hole if you wanted.
How do you pull a fish out, Matt?
What?
How do you pull a fish out a 4-inch hole?
I mean, I guess it's not a big fish then, huh?
See, you got to be optimistic. You got to be optimistic. I'm out there doing the 16-foot hole because I'm going to get a big ass fish.
Yeah, no. See, next year when you come out, I'm going to buy the saw and then the spear, right? And we're going to go spearing for pike. What you do is you cut like a rectangle out of the ice, however big you want. And you sit there and you have these decoys and you sit these decoys at the bottom of the ice, and the pike, just because they're such an alpha fish anyway, they swim over all curious, like, what are these little things? And then you just sit there and you don't like throw the spear. You just like drop it because it's the winter, these fish aren't moving fast, and it just bonks them. And then you pull it up and you get yourself a pike. And I know Matt Buddy likes to eat them. So that's a kind of a humane way of getting them.
Well, like,
I think I would have to throw at least one spear just to feel cool. Just like, yeah.
Right. It'd be fun though, because what you do, like, so I was showing Matt that with it not having a bottom, right, the tent, you pack down the snow around the sides. So 1, it doesn't blow over on you, but 2, it darkens it out because you also can close the flaps on the inside. You close out and you darken it out. And if you do a good job at clearing the snow on the bottom of the tent there, you get that green glow of the lake, like that ice glow, and you can really start to see down the holes.
Yeah, so kind of to piggyback off Zach there to get to our little trouble we got in the second day, we go to Seeley Lake the second day because no luck on salmon, so we're going to go to the other lake. So we go out to Seeley, there's even less people set up fishing. There's maybe like 3 to 4 tops that day.
Spread out too, because like two of those guys
out.
are way across the lake and kind of by that campground, right on that point where we always put in by that boat ramp. There's that weird campground over there, like the seat lodges at Seeley Lake, wherever. They have a bunch of permanent ice huts kind of set out. So I think you can rent them. And like it's like, oh, we have an ice hut for you too.
Yeah, they're like those wooden ones and stuff. And so we're sitting there and like, mind you, like the first day, the day prior was much windier. We get set up on Seeley and there's like no wind. When we set up, like, oh, we don't have to stake the tent down or nothing. And the tent, like Zach was saying, is designed where there's this like flat lip around it where you put snow over on the outside of the tent so it prevents it from like lifting in the wind. And then they have stakes too, but we did the snow and all of a sudden me, Zach, and Thea are sitting there and the whole tent, just a gust of wind just blows it up and knocks Zach over. And I'm sitting there like with my little tiny, because they're mini little fishing poles that you have. I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck?
It would have been so funny if there would have been a camera outside because of just the way like it just went boom, and then you just see us like inside the tent, like everyone's just kind of doing what they're doing. And like I hold on to the tent, laying down, like, oh my god, Matt's like, what the fuck? And this thing starts, the wind picks up, so it starts to almost blow away on us. I'm like, push it in, fold it in, and then we'll rebuild it. And Thea's just sitting there, like all our stuff, like, it was wild.
No, and like the crazy thing is like that wind gust was so strong that could have blew that thing across the lake like easy because it was just all like in against it, like where it just a cone just takes it.
Did you see that video I sent you guys with those guys chasing theirs across the fucking lake?
I think so. It sounds familiar.
It's the kid and the mom kind of walking, and then in the background there's like 2 guys chasing their ice hut just blowing away in the wind.
That would be the worst.
Especially on snow, because like it's hard to run on snow.
Yeah, that'd be just the worst.
I like that blooper video, Zach, of the ice fishing like mishaps.
Yeah.
Mark, you should see that one because there's like people who like they're dropping their phones or their fish like back down in the hole where it just slides off the ice.
Oh, I bet.
And just
everything goes down the hole.
Yeah.
I lost we lit a fire and we did steaks in bear country. And I lost the lighter at the end of the day down the hole. Like I stood up, it was on my lap, and sure enough, everything melts to the hole. That's the rule in the ice hut. Everything melts to the hole. So like, just be like, if you want something protected, put it in a zipper pocket or don't bring it out on the ice because it's going to the hole.
It's tribute to the lake.
Right. Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of things go down.
Or like the auger, like when you're drilling down and like kind of right before it breaks through the ice, you feel it like push down and then water shoots up. And that's when you let go of the gas and pull it up. Well, on the video he showed, these guys got their ice auger done. And the top part with the throttle was like spinning in circles. And it was stuck in the ice where they couldn't get to stop. So they're like trying to hit it with something, and it's just like spin. Oh god!
Is it a big squirt of water up? Like it's a nice little, I guess, what do you call it? Like I don't know, like a Arctic. What are those, bidet? Where it just like
kinda. I mean, you're going to wear boots that can get wet because it's going to bring a puddle.
The harder you push down when you break through that ice to the water, the more water is going to shoot up. And so like I was doing it like too hard because I was getting the hang of it pretty good, where I'd push down harder and it'd shoot up all over my boots, the water.
Did it shoot and squirt you in the face at all, or just the boots?
No, just the boots, because it's just like a 8-inch like hole, so it's like it boiled over kind of, like on the snow around it.
Okay.
It's cold
Okay.
as shit. Oh,
It
it's
was
cold.
cold.
You get
Oh,
wet.
yeah. It was cold.
Yeah, I'm certain that it's cold water. If you're able to freeze it like multiple inches, I don't go to that location going like, I bet you that water below hot as shit.
The Wild West is full of dangers, from snakes to bears. The outdoorsman must be prepared. That is why when you experience rivers like the San Juan or the Yellowstone, you must bring a blue ribbon net. Handcrafted and biodegradable, these classic wooden fishing nets are all you need while on the river. Make sure to use code RUGAROO10 when checking out at Blue Ribbon Nets. Again, the code is RUGAROO10. RUGARU10. In need of LED lights for your vehicle? Look no further than our friends at Oxteo, keeping our vehicles well lit while on the road while looking for Bigfoot. Make sure to use code RUGARU, RUGARU, on your next set of LED lights.
Well, that's the thing is like you get there and you got to be careful too, because we were taking down the tent and I stepped in the hole even and I got my boot wet. But like I've done it before where I've stepped like my freaking whole leg down before. And then you stand up like, oh my gosh, my leg's all wet. But that's nice. We had the heater, so I dried off. But
Yeah.
you got to be careful of that.
Other part of it is, I guess every states are different with the regulations and stuff, but outside of the tent, it's 2 holes per person. So you can have the little short fishing poles, which in your ice hut you're using, or you use those things called tip ups, which are basically like a flag that like it triggers it when the fish hits the line, and you just set them like across the hole in these little things and put your bait on, whatever. But that's the thing, is when you're picking up camp, those holes are ankle breakers big time. If
I bet.
Yeah, like if you put the front part of your toe down, like that's what Zach almost did. Like he's like, oh shit, like, so
You gotta be slow. You got to be slow around that
the
stuff.
ankles with those holes. So
I could see you as one of them tipper fishers where you just set them out there and you're just like, we're gonna wait for my little flag to go.
oh yeah. No,
Dude,
it's a great I feel like this type of fishing really encourages alcoholism, because you could sit out there all day in your tent and like just get hammered.
I'm sure. I mean, what else are you gonna do out there?
well, in the states that it's legal, you could hotbox the tent.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there. So I guess that actually brings up a good point. While you're sitting there fishing, whatnot, like what the hell did you do?
Well, so on good old Seeley Lake, you do have cell service. So we did watch that Kansas Baylor basketball game.
Yeah.
Are either one of you a big Kansas or Baylor fan?
They were ranked 5 and 9. It was something on ESPN, and you're out there.
But it was like, hey, we're watching the game on the phone, on Zach's phone, and Thea's like reading her Kindle. I think she was reading her Kindle, right?
Yeah. She's reading. She had like 3 books out there.
We had snacks and food, and sometimes we get out and go check the tip ups outside.
That was pretty good. Like, did you reel any of the tip ups up? Like when you would go outside and check them?
Not reeling them. I would just see if the flag popped up, kind of thing. But yeah, no, and then sometimes you gotta go to the bathroom, so you just take a walk to the shore and find a bush and do your thing.
That's gross.
Even what's crazy is they
Wipe
have
with snow.
or the bathroom, the pit toilet was open at Seeley.
Well,
So
I'm sure. I'm sure they don't close it a whole lot. I mean,
No, but that lake,
don't get
see,
me wrong, Seeley Lake, most of the time the reason they close those kind of bathrooms is because they don't want the homeless in there.
right? But that one, what was interesting is because that gate, they closed the gate at the road there
Oh,
on that one. So you had to park out there to walk in. Whereas like the other boat, you could have went to the other boat ramp across the lake as well and walked in there. Like you could park there. But I don't know. It's interesting.
yeah, the only thing is like you had to walk through 2 feet of snow to get to the toilet. So that was fun. Take a step and your leg just like, oh shit, like it sinks down.
gotta get you some snowshoes.
I know. No, I've been wanting to try that. I've never tried that before.
I was just gonna ask if you've ever snowshoed. It's a fun time. It's not bad.
Yeah, and they got like those ones now, right? They're not like those old school ones. They're like smaller, huh? Like
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not like a tennis racket on your foot. Uh, do you just walk out on the ice with like normal boots, or do you need like crampons?
So like out there, you're walking on like a foot of snow anyway.
Oh,
So
okay.
your normal boots are
like,
fine on like Seeley. But when you are like out eastern Montana and stuff, when we're fishing Daily Lake or Tongue, crampons are nicer to have if you have them.
so like yeah, what Zach's saying is that Western Montana, you had like 4 inches of like fluffy snow on top of the ice. So just
Yeah.
your boots work great. Just kind of high up your ankle. And then Eastern Montana, it's more like there's not as much snow on top of the ice. So it's more straight ice you're walking on, which is actually probably harder, huh, Zach?
Yeah, you walk a little slower, but it's what's kind of and what's shitty in eastern Montana is the wind. So when you're walking on ice in the wind, it's not the best. Sometimes you go the wrong direction. But
Yeah,
you
the
can see,
crampons would probably be a must Eastern.
right, but you can see through the ice sometimes too. So
Oh, that's kind of cool.
like I'm talking like literally like when you set that ice out up and you black it out,
Oh,
you really get a glow in because you're getting like the sun sometimes on like a sunny day shining and hitting the other ice around there. So it's really
Mhm.
glowing the lake.
well, and Zach had this glow in the dark like tube thing when we blacked it out, and it give it that like neon green color, which was like really cool. And like again, it would make the fish more visible too that way if it was extremely clear.
Okay. Well, I guess we gotta ask the real well, no, but there's a couple of real important questions. But the first real important question I got for you, Matt, the Wanderers are wanting to know, did you have a heck of a good time?
Hey man, we didn't catch anything, but we did catch a really good time. So
There you go. Will you go back? Will you ice fish again? That's what they really want to know.
I will. I will. I think it was for me, it was a good little President's Day weekend getaway and in the cabin up at Seeley and got a few lakes to ice fish up there. So
What did you think? So Mark, so you didn't know this, but the driveway was completely snowed in. And what's been shitty is the weather, right? So it's been like that snow that like it melts and then it snows a little bit more and then it melts and it does like that kind of layering. So you can like walk on top of it for like 4 or 5 steps, and the next 4 or 5 steps you're like in it 2 feet deep because it's just like
Yeah.
solid. And so we couldn't drive a car in. Plus, the way the plow plows in the driveway, like that's just ice and rocks right there. You're just like, God damn it. So we had to park up behind, up on the road behind, and like kind of hike down in the snow. So I gotta ask Matt, what did you think about that getting into the cabin that way?
that was kind of fun, but well, for one, I didn't even know there was a road up behind there, to be
Oh,
honest.
really?
I didn't even know there's a road up there. Yeah. And then it was just like, oh, it's like right there, just up
Yeah,
like,
it's like right on top of it. I remember being out there and seeing cars go by.
oh, yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like there was maybe like a driveway up there, up above further, but I didn't realize how close it was.
Yeah.
So that's the way we had to come in, and like it was actually more slick with ice the first day we got there, and we're unloading our stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the more it snowed, the easier it was to walk on too, which was
Yeah.
nice. It did snow. I mean, it probably snowed a good 8 inches on us while we were at Seeley.
It really did, yeah. Then I don't know if Zach mentioned, but we had a bit of a incident at the cabin as well.
Oh yeah.
Well, basically, me, Thea, and Zach are sitting there just watching, a Montana high school basketball game on TV, which I didn't really sign up for, but it was interesting. So, because that's their entertainment in that state. So, so we're sitting there, and I'm like, "Do you guys smell that? That smell, that like burnt plastic, electrical smell, and or something like burnt plastic?" And they're like, "No." And then they waited like another minute, and they're like, "Yeah, what is that?" So
Yeah.
we're looking all around the house, and Zach kind of knew where it was coming from, and he's like, "Oh shit, it's the hot water heater under the house."
Oh shit.
Yeah. And so
No,
he goes down there, and the like, was it the panel or the wiring on it, Zach?
some with the so basically what was there's two panels and there's like plastic pieces kind of with wires coming into it. And on the bottom piece of the water heater there, that plastic panel was just smoldering away.
Oh.
Like the dial that you turn to control like the water temperature and stuff is just the like screw is just like smoldered out of there, and that plastic is melting. And I'm like, I don't
It
know.
was such a terrible smell too. Like it's like I might get cancer from smelling this all night.
That was worried about.
Burnt plastic is not a fun smell.
Oh
No, it was interesting. It was really like, what the heck is going on? And then we got down there and we figured like I flipped the breaker, turned it off, and guess we'll get a new water heater. So maybe you guys will get warm showers at the cabin one of the years.
apparently Zach was saying they'd been talking about replacing the water heater for 10 years now. And I would say it's about time after this.
It gives you an excuse.
It really does. And it's good. It gives me an excuse to go up there this spring. So I'll figure something out. So we'll continue the journey up there. But that's not all we did. We didn't just take Matt Buddy out ice fishing for his first time. We also went over to the bison range and the Garden of Buddhas over kind of in the Flathead Valley area.
Yeah, I saw you guys went to the Garden of Buddhas. That was something Vince, Phil, and I wanted to go check out when we did that massive trip. But we decided to spend, well, we didn't decide. We got the opportunity to spend our day in the AT&T store trying to fix the only working phone between the three of us because the phone caught on fire. So we were unfortunately not able to go to the Garden of 1,000 Buddhas, I think it is.
Yeah.
10,000.
And oh my, not a math guy. But I bet in the snow it was kind of cool too.
It was interesting because that garden was actually there was like patches of snow there on the ground, and Zach was saying for this time of year it should have more snow than that. But it was like it was kind of windy there. It was actually kind of cold when we were walking around, and it was just a very like with that mountain air and like in that valley, it's definitely a very like peaceful place. Like
and
how they put it too,
you've said you've been there before?
Once, yeah, when I lived in Montana.
And then you said you did the tour or you went into the lodge or whatever there, the gift center.
Yeah.
And they said the Dalai Lama had a vision or something. That's the story, or
yeah, so he had like a dream of a mountain valley, and it ended up being in that valley in Montana. And so they're saying like he wanted a location for because there's like monks. I don't know a lot about this kind of stuff really, but there's a lot of like there's monks who like live there, like, and you're supposed to, when you enter this place, you have to walk around the circle like clockwise. There's protocol on a board, like when you drive up to the parking lot, basically you have to read. And long story short, he had this dream, and so it's interesting because it's located on an Indian reservation. And so he approached the Dalai Lama and the whole, Tibetan folks approached the tribe about having this center located there, and they were okay with it. They okayed it. And so they have some sort of arrangement, which I don't know really the details of that, but I think it's kind of interesting. But yeah, you come in and they ask that you donate like a $5 to $10 like donation, is kind of a general, protocol there. But no, it's very like there's this new construction of a Tibetan prayer flag, like I don't know what you would call that structure, Zach.
Yeah, it was just like a tree, like they all go into one point in the center, like a big Tibetan flag, like Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's like a Christmas tree of Tibetan prayer flags. I don't know how else to describe it, but like just kind of like an arbor, essentially an arbor on a hill. But that was like really cool because it looked just like something they would have in Tibet in the mountains, like along their spiritual places, And so yeah, no, it was really cool. And just the amount of like all these Buddha statues, and they all have like writing on them and meanings and stuff in their belief. So
right. And not only that, but same also in Arlee there, the town of Arlee, there was that Bigfoot store that we were able to check out. They said it opened up last May, so there is a Bigfoot store in Montana.
yeah, so it was really fascinating that we hit the Buddha Center. We saw the Bigfoot store on our way in, but we decided, well, we'll hit that on our way back out to Missoula when we leave.
Well, it looked like a restaurant, and we're like, oh, we're not like going to eat there.
Right.
And then like on the way back, we're like, oh, it's a restaurant and gift shop. And
Yeah.
it is. You
We
can
saw
actually get
a
food there.
billboard that said gift shop, and Zach's like, yeah, we better stop then because we had time to kill till he took me to the airport. But we kind of transition, we go over to the bison range, and the bison, this is supposedly the national bison range, and it was sort of a federal managed drive-through park at the time, but now
From like 1909. Like,
yeah, no,
they took it from the Indians early on, like took this and said, this is like federal bison range.
right. And so now the Flathead tribes manage it. So like we drove up to the visitor center, and Zach and I were trying to play the whole like native card to like, hey, you have a discount, but like they're like, no, just from this tribe, it's $20 a car, which I think is reasonable. But there's basically two roads through the park. One goes up on the top of the mountain and goes up over. That's more open in spring, summer when the snow's gone. And then there's the prairie drive. Zach and I did the prairie drive because it was low by the river. And we saw bison, eagles, and deer. But there are also wolves, bears, mule deer, elk, and like bighorn sheep as well in this park. And so it's like Zach and I were talking, it almost seems like a very like mini Yellowstone with just the wildlife in that sense.
Yeah,
Like,
kind of like a more, almost in the sense like that wildlife safari drive, but
yes,
more wild, like
but
actually wild.
North American animals, not African.
Right.
Yeah.
And like those deer are, yeah, like they wandered in.
Yeah, and some of like the deer, they kind of go outside of the park boundaries with the fence and come in, and the bison kind of are there all the time. But
well, I'm interested too, because the Flathead tribes, they're one of the more active tribes in the state of Montana, to see what they do with that park and how they open it up further. Because they changed the museum completely to show the tribal histories. Like I was reading, there is a white bison that used to live there on the bison range, and like it was very spiritual to the people. And
The
they
great
had
white
it,
buffalo.
yes, and they had it stuffed, and it's in Helena, and
Oh,
the tribe has been demanding it back. So I think like, come on, guys, give it back.
Yeah, no, it
yeah.
was interesting. I thought it was cool to see because we never really checked it out before. So
And it's not that far from Seeley in reality, Mark. So like next time you are in that area, like it is like worth the day trip to do all this.
really,
And we even
really
capped it
nice.
off.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, we even capped it off by going down to Lolo Hot Springs.
Yeah. No, and what's crazy is actually that valley with those the Buddha Center and the Bison Range, they're actually much closer to Missoula than we thought. Like they're maybe like Bison Range is maybe an hour north of Missoula, huh, Zach?
Yeah, it's really not too
And
far.
Olo was like 30 minutes, 40 minutes from Missoula up the other way toward the mountain toward Idaho. So yeah, um it was cool. I liked that day because the roads were good and we're just kind of driving around seeing these little spots we've never been to before. And that's part of wandering your way, right?
Right, exactly. And well, and that's part of it, right? Like we went to Lolo Hot Springs, and that to kind of cap the night off, and it was kind of cool because there was not a lot of people. There was maybe two groups, three groups, and at the end of it, it was me, Matt, and this other dude at one point in this pool. So there was three of us just in this pool. So it really was like cool because you could definitely see where that place is busy in the summer, busier during
Yeah.
tourist. So it was nice to have that to ourselves in that sense.
It
And
was nice because it was that Monday night at the end of a holiday weekend. And so like that's and as well as the approaching storm coming in was kind of like there. Yeah, I'm sure it gets way more crowded there at that place.
right. And then we capped it off. I took him downtown Missoula, the Oxford Cafe and Bar, and got him, breakfast for dinner or whatever we had at the diner, and sent him on his way on the airplane. And I drove the 4 hours back to Billings and beat the storm and sitting here -10 right now. So
Hey, what a weekend that sounds. Actually, that's low key kind of perfect timing to cap it off like that because I kind of gotta be that guy. But it would be silly of me before we jump into final words. It'd be absolutely silly of me if I didn't ask the most important question all night. Everyone, from the moment they started listening today, is dying to know, Matt Buddy, Zach, did you see Bigfoot?
Oh,
no.
No? Nah.
We tried.
Better luck next time. But no, anyways, now we can move on officially into those final words. Matt Buddy, you've been here before. So lead us off. Final words, my guy.
yeah, no, thanks for having me on again. I think with this trip, it really really highlighted like, don't be afraid to try new things. I was hesitant about walking on ice. I really was. But like you got to have a little bit of faith, and people have done that before, and as long as it's thick enough, you're gonna be all right. And yeah, I mean, and then these little visits that we did, like stops that like maybe you've driven somewhere, you're like, oh, I've never stopped at that, like those little spots tend to be a little more special sometimes than you think. And so one of those we didn't mention was in Idaho, was that Elmer's Fountain, and right off the highway. And Zach and I have both driven by it a million times, and it's really cool. It's just this natural, like this spring that they created a fountain off of, and it was frozen because it's winter, so it was really cool to look at. And summer you could fill your water bottle up there, so that was just on the Idaho side of that mountain pass there. But yeah, we hit that on the way out to start our little journey. So yeah, don't be afraid to stop, and don't be afraid to try new things.
There we go. Love it. Love it. Amen. Zach, final words.
Yeah, no, definitely in the Mount Buddy sense, try new things. Because yeah, we were able to hit Elmer's Fountain, and like I said, yeah, that when it's frozen like that, it's really cool because it's just all the water, right? The way it's just freezing on itself, just spraying out the top. And we were able to do that. We were able to get you out on the ice for the first time and do something fun. We were talking about getting other people up there next winter, getting on snowmobiles next winter, trying that for the first time. Whoever wants to come, let us know. We'll plan a trip, because we even drove the Jeep back kind of on further on some dirt roads in the summer. They're dirt roads, but there's some giant parking lots for the snowmobile trailers, giant parking lots. So there's a lot of trails to be sledded on up there in the winter. So I'm definitely down to do that with whoever's down next year. Jared, Colton, Matt, whoever's not listening right now. We'll plan it, but you just got to, like Matt said, try new things, get out there, explore, see Mother Nature, and force yourself. If you want to be out -10 degrees, you got to go find it, or you can just stay inside like me. No, that's good. All right, Mark.
Love it. I love it. Reverend's final words of wisdom. Stay beautiful, everybody. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate every single one of you for listening all the way through, and all the things that you do. Make sure you're hitting the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Exciting news. I mean, if you've read the descriptions, you'll probably see it in there. But super exciting news. We at the Wandering Ways podcast have teamed up with a really cool kind of website called bookstore.org. It's a online bookstore. You can buy books on there, and a portion of those proceeds that you buy on the book, a portion of those sales actually will go to a local small bookstore, and you get to pick the bookstore. So you can pick a local one in your area, or if you want, you can really kind of hit up some bookstore in Iowa, because Iowa probably needs help. Actually, more like Ohio right now. Ohio needs the most help right now because they got that train going on. But anyways, there's a link in the description to our basically the Wandering Ways favorite books. We got sections, nature, all that fun stuff, adventures. So please check it out. Support local bookstores. Don't buy from those jerks at Amazon. Jeff Bezos doesn't need more money. Just support the local bookstores. All right. You can, who cares? Prime is overrated. But no, anyways, with that being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.